Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
March 3, 2021, the Uncomfortable Truths edition. And we begin with that story as the Biden administration, this is reported from the Wall Street Journal, is imposing sanctions against Russia, accusing the Kremlin of trying to assassinate Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny by poisoning him. The U.S. joined the EU on Tuesday in sanctioning Russian officials and entities in connection with the poisoning, saying he was targeted for uncovering, quote, uncomfortable truths, end quote, about the Russian government. U.S. officials said this action sent a clear signal to Russia that the cozy relationship it had with the Trump administration is over, and Russia will have clear consequences for its use of chemical weapons. The EU and UK had earlier concluded that Russian security was behind the poisoning, but the Biden administration finding issued for the first time the U.S. formally accusing the Trump administration in the assassination attempt. This is certainly a welcome change from the corruption of the Trump administration. In an article in the Deal Book at the New York Times, a case against Smith & Wesson might upend the gun industry. In this case, they are taking a look at the advertising done by the gun industry and whether that is false and misleading. This is certainly a different tact taken against the gun industry, and as they are immune from suits directly. And so if they are found to have engaged in illegal or other fraudulent advertising, there could be a particularly nasty fallout for the gun industry. One expert said the gun industry is afraid of nothing more than the ability of the public to see behind the scenes in their internal documents and have their executives sit down and face the music. In this case, will be similar to the tobacco industry to open up the gun industry to public scrutiny. The Washington Post reported on the Senate confirmation hearing of Gary Gensler to be the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission. He indicated the agency could move forward to force companies to disclose more about their political spending, climate risk, and workforce diversity. Tuesday's hearing also asked whether he would probe issues raised by GameStop and the trading frenzy and its fallout. Gensler said he wanted to know whether investors are getting the best deal when trading apps such as Robinhood sell their trades to market firms to execute. So it looks like Gensler is going to be affirmed or approved and confirmed, rather, by the Senate. So we will finally have a new dawn in the SEC. And finally, from the BBC, we had a great example of a conflict of interest. Ann Herbert, Nike's general manager for North America, stepped down following a Bloomberg report that her son used a credit card in her name to purchase shoes for his business, which he then resold as a profit. Nike originally defended Herbert's conduct, saying she disclosed her son's conflict of interest in 2018, claiming, and Nike said, while there was no violation of company policy that would prevent this. However, the Bloomberg articles showed how the son used bots to swarm online sales sites, overcoming means to restrict purchases for the shoes. It certainly presents a classic conflict of interest.
The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.